Welcome to the 2026 Dances with Films, New York City, here in Union Square. For our viewers at home, tell us a little bit about your great film, and we'll jump right into it.
It's a revenge story set around two true events that happened in World War II. One is a city in Czechoslovakia, Vindicta, where the entire city was annihilated, and true stories of girls that would either seduce Nazis and then kill them themselves, or they would set them up in an ambush. So I combined those two true stories and created a fictional tale that I made up of this girl that by happenstance survived the what happened in that city, and then seek out revenge to avenge the murder of her parents, and then by another happenstance meets a attractive, charming Nazi officer and a potential sort of love relationship sort of maybe will happens between them, but then the story unravels in a whole other way as well.
Talk to me about story development. Where did you hear about this town? Where did you hear about the historical part? And then how did you integrate it into your script?
I was familiar with what happened in the city because it's a known event where in that city one of Hitler's favorite officers was assassinated, and sort of as a revenge ploy, he sent a special group of officers into the city to kill everyone in there. Over 400 people were murdered in that city. So I found that in itself an interesting premise. What would have happened if one person or a few people survived, and what if this one person was a young 18-year-old girl who was already prepared to sort of be sheltered by friends of the family. So I thought that would be interesting, and then again to mold it around stories of these young girls who would seduce Nazis and then kill them themselves.
So talk to me about script development. How long did it take you to write the script? And talk to me a little bit about the casting, because your cast is wonderful.
It doesn't take me very long to write a script. It took me a week to write the whole script. Yeah, it doesn't take me that long to write any script because in my mind it's as if I'm watching the movie. So once I start, it's as if I'm watching something on the big screen already. So I want to finish it as soon as I can. I have the basic premise, I have the beginning, the middle, and the end, and I just sort of see where the story takes me, and then that's how I go with the flow, where the characters sort of take me, whatever journey they're on. Casting, that took a long time. It took a year and a half to find the actors. There's always obstacles, I think, when you're casting any movie, but with this movie, because it's such a touchy subject matter, and then it's not. There's a lot of very difficult scenes in the film with violence and things like that. So it's not always, I think, easy to get actors for an indie movie in itself, but with that sort of subject matter, it's tough finding actors for that kind of a story.
How long was your principal photography, and where did you film this at?
We filmed it in Croatia, and it was 5 weeks. It took us 5 weeks. 5 weeks, 5-day working week. So,
as a filmmaker, how do you deal with those difficult and sensitive subjects dealing with the Nazis and World War II and prostitution set? How do you deal with that in your script, but also too, how do you make your fellow castmates and your crew comfortable with that?
Well, I mean, it is set during World War II, and it is, it's these things actually happened at that time. But any sort of moment where there's high tension and emotion and things that happen between in this particular case, two people, it's always a touchy thing if it's set today or any other time. But I always leave it up to the actors. I think once something's on the page and it's there, they react to it. They know what they have to do, and sort of I let them sort of become these characters on their own and see how they think these characters should go and how they would react in that moment authentically as those characters.
What did you learn about yourself professionally and personally while making this film?
What did I learn about myself? Oh, well, to be, I think, as patient as possible when it comes to anything that you're doing. I learned that I don't like eating anything while I'm filming. I don't eat anything at all. It's a very stressful job knowing that every single day, I think every day in any movie, but especially indie movies, because it's such a, you have a tight budget, you have things you have to get through the whole day. It's extremely stressful when you start, and then once you start getting to the end of the day, when okay, maybe we're running late, you have to make sort of certain okay, let's not maybe film this scene the way I wanted to. So it's sort of adjusting in the moment. But to just what I always learn is just to be as best prepared as you can be for every single day and what's coming.
Was there any difficulties or hurdles during the production of this film?
What was the most?
Was there any difficulties or hurdles that you had to overcome during the filming of this film?
I'd say, I think anytime you're doing anything that's physical, when there's a fight sequence or when there's blood involved and these things, just continuity, that the wounds look as good as they can from scene 1 to scene 10 when they happen. But fortunately enough for this film, we filmed everything in continuity. So we didn't sort of film the last scene at the beginning and the first scene at the end. The moment that they come in to this last location, we filmed from the very beginning to the very end, the way it's sort of in the script. So but again, I think it's anytime you're dealing with physicality, that's always difficult to do.
Talk to me about filming Croatia. Your film is beautifully shot. Your scenes are beautifully shot. So talk to me about the decision of filming Croatia versus somewhere else in the world, and what was it like?
Well, I'm originally from Croatia, so that's a plus. Fortunately, we were fortunate enough to get the last location, which is this castle, for very little money, which was great. I think, and also because this is set in Czechoslovakia, architecturally, Czechoslovakia is very similar. Then Czechoslovakia, now Czech Republic, is similar to the way architecture is in Croatia. So I kept that in mind. Obviously, if it was different architecturally, you couldn't film certain things, but because it was similar, it fit what we were trying to go for.
Lastly, what does it mean for you to be here at Dances with the Films NYC, to have this film here on the world stage? What does it mean to you?
Oh, it means a great deal. Not just that, but it was the opening night film, which is a huge honor and a huge responsibility. And for me, this is one of the best, if not the best, indie festival in America, and it's also in New York City, which is a city I grew up in, so it's another added bonus and something that's close to my heart. So all in all, it's been an amazing experience, and it was a huge honor, and I'm eternally grateful for everyone at the festival for seeing the film, giving it a shot, and liking it so much.
What was opening night like for you? What was some of the conversations that stood out to you after the film that audience members came up and shared with you?
It was just interesting to see while the movie was being shown, just to see how they were reacting when they even laughed at certain moments where I didn't think they would laugh. But it's always interesting, just every audience reacts different. And the questions afterwards were are always interesting to hear. But specifically here, it was very about sets and costumes and how the way it looked and just that in itself. I think it was just interesting just to see how people react to the film.
Lastly, how did you get that castle? The castle's cool, man. I mean, you're so lucky to be able to film in a great spot. How did you get it, and what was it like filming in there?
Well, it was a long process. You go through various options, various actors that were interested in the film wanted to do it, and they couldn't do it for some reasons. Then you narrow it down at the end when it comes to auditions and see who fits best with whom and what works and what doesn't work. I always wanted to work with Pip Torrance, who I watched The Crown, and that he's one of my favorite actors, and is such a tremendous person. That was a dream come true. Everyone else, Anna Madeley, Sam, Hazeldine, everyone, Jack and Devin did a tremendous job as the leads. I hope when you watch the film and you see the two of them, that they evoke a time of all Hollywood, the way they look. A mix of Ava Gardner and Elizabeth Taylor and Cary Grant and Jimmy Stewart, and my favorite movie stars of yesteryears. Those were my favorite movie stars. So I try to sort sort of have the two leads sort of be similar to the movie stars from the 40s and the 50s that we all love, I think, still.
Lastly, what is your website social handle so we can share your successes?
It's Vindicta Film on Instagram, and I think it's the same for Facebook as well.
Congratulations on such a great film.
Thank you.